I've been in Canada for 13 years. Like, I literally had no idea when I came here. And sometimes, I wish I had that someone when I came. And I think, I think that's my biggest why.
How are you finding business right now?
Having intentional conversations. I know sometimes it sounds bad that like we're always thinking about business, we're always thinking about making money. But I think, as a business owner, like, that's how we feed our family.
So where do you find most of your business then?
I've never cold called.
Okay.
I've never door knocked.
So when you first started your career and you didn't have a big pipeline, how did you build that up?
4 months before I finished my course, I was just already calling people.
Today, I'm sitting down with Vaughn. He is an agent with our brokerage, and he's also an entrepreneur at heart. He has an amazing restaurant, and he has an amazing real estate business. So I'm curious to find out how he's managing juggling both. I know that realtors have had a lot of ups and downs the last couple of years, and we actually recently took Bold together. So also, we're going to be talking about some of the key takeaways he got, the mindset shift that he experienced, and also just learning about the business in general and how things are going. So we're really excited to dive into this conversation, and I really hope you enjoy it. People are so focused on the right now business that they almost get annoyed with the later business. And I'm like, no, that's good, because now you don't have to prospect for that person 5 months from now.
Yeah,
you already
sure.
have them lined up. So it's like, just nurture them until then. So that way at that time, you have that business.
Yeah, you have that
right?
business. You're like, I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, it's helpful in some way also because, like I'm also able to apply like what I learned in real estate and in my restaurant business at the same time. Because I'm like, oh, this could be parallel in some way.
Yeah. Well, like it's customer service in general, marketing, I'm sure. Like the whole entrepreneurial side of it is very relatable. I feel like if you're an entrepreneur at heart, that's all that it really takes to be in sales. Yeah. Like when you have that creative mindset, when you enjoy meeting people and like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and you're self-driven.
Exactly.
It's like that can feed into so many different avenues of life.
Right.
Right. And so going back to how your year has been. So obviously you took time to build up your restaurant, and now the real estate market is just at that upswing and getting busier. So how are you finding business right now?
I think for me right now, what I really learned, like especially joining Bold, I think it's really tapping into the people that you really know.
Right.
I think, having intentional conversations, not just, how are you?
Yeah.
We all start there and say like, how are you? Hope you're doing well. But I think having the intention of like, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something here. I know sometimes it sounds bad that like we're always thinking about business. We're always thinking about making money. But I think, as a business owner, like, that's how we feed our families.
Right.
That's how we put food on the table. That's how we clothe ourselves. That's how we house ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think, we got to hustle in a different way. But I think being more intentional about what you say of what you do.
For sure.
And then I think really like setting your goals into making sure that you're doing it the right way.
Yeah. For sure. I think
it doesn't come across like very transactional.
Exactly. One of the things that I took away from it is just like the mindset behind it too, because if you go into it with the mindset of, I need to get something out of it so I can feed my family, or I need to get a paycheck or a closing or something like that. But if you're going into it where you're like, I'm going to look for opportunities because I want to help those people.
Exactly.
I'm going to be that person to step in and do something amazing for them. It's not, I'm poaching everybody. It's just, I have my radar on so that if somebody needs help, I'm with it enough to know and be like, okay, this is where I can help you.
100%.
Right? Like, yeah.
For me, like the biggest thing really is, we talked about it during Bold too. I think knowing your big why.
Yeah.
Right. Like, for me, I knew my big why even before coming into real estate.
Right.
Because I know, I'm an immigrant myself. Mm-hmm. I've been in Canada for 13 years. Like I literally had no idea when I came here.
Yeah.
And I think for me, my biggest why is really championing people like me.
That's so amazing, because people need people like you, right?
Like people that you could connect to, people that you have, the same, common ground where you feel like, I feel comfortable because you went through what I went through.
Exactly.
And sometimes, I wish I had that someone when I came.
100%.
right? And I think that's my biggest why.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to help people. I want to help people that are like me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any before.
Yeah. You touched on something huge there that I took away from Bold as well, which is that having your big why is so important, but also when it comes to your purpose, a lot of times our purpose and our why comes from our own traumatic events.
100%.
And
it's true.
A lot of times our purpose comes down to being that person that we needed in that time.
Yes.
Right?
And I think, as you go through, in the business, we basically uncover it.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of knew in the beginning.
Yeah.
But we uncover it in like a bigger idea or a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
We uncover a bigger purpose. Like, you know what? I'm doing this for this.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And it is so much more rewarding too when you know exactly the challenges that you faced and then being able to take what you've learned, good or bad in those situations. Sometimes like bad things happen. You're like, why? Well, now it's like, okay, future situations come up and you're like, I can take what I learned from that experience and now put it to use and help somebody else.
Exactly.
Right. And that's
Yes.
what you're doing is you're taking all those things that you learned from your initial experience and now you're going to help other people get through those things at a much smoother process.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. And so where do you find most of your business then?
So most of my business comes from like really my sphere of influence. I've never called.
Okay.
I've never door knocked.
Okay.
It's not my thing. I've done it once. I'm like, this is like the worst thing ever
Yeah.
for lead generation.
Yeah.
And I think just really like just treating your people right.
Yeah.
Like treating the people within your sphere.
Yeah.
Right. You just simply, how are you? Like just reaching out. I think that's it. Like as long as, we learned about it, it's about contact sport during Bold. Like if we don't talk to people, nothing comes, like there's no business for us.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And I find that seems to be the biggest challenge for people is they don't know how to follow up. So
Exactly.
what does your follow-up plan look like for people?
So my follow-up plan, like, the biggest thing for me, I think the most effective way for me to follow up with people is when I stop by their homes.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Love it. Like,
Yeah.
I bring a little like bottle of wine. I bring a
Yeah.
little gift. If they have children, I'll bring a little snack for the children. And then we just talk.
Yeah.
That's it. What's going on in your house? Like, how's your family? Like, that's it. Like, I go there with the intention of seeing them.
Right.
And, obviously I ask for business if there's any, but they know.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know.
Okay. And then do you have any kind of other follow-up plans, like either through smart plans or through mailers or anything that's not in person? Just like actionable tips for any potential realtors that are listening. Because I'm sure when you said that you don't cold call or door knock, people are like, thank God, because people hate it. And
Yes.
a lot of times people get this impression or this feeling that that's the only way to generate business. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So
I think that's like I think that's the biggest thing about real estate. Like we thought that it's just like, trying to call people that you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And trying to get misses from them.
Yeah. So when you first started your career and you didn't have a big pipeline, how did you build that up?
So before I even finished my courses, I actually started calling people already.
Oh, no way.
So
Okay.
when I would say 4 months before I finished my course, I was just already calling people. I'm in real estate. I'm doing real estate. I'm doing my exams. I'm going to finish soon.
Right.
So by the time I finished my real estate course, in my first month, I actually did 4 deals.
Oh, good for you. That's actually a big deal for anybody listening that doesn't know. That is a really big deal. A lot of agents can go their whole first year with doing 0 deals. So to do 4
Yeah, in
right
my
out
first
the
month.
hop. Yeah.
And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And it was literally crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. No one's moving. Like we can't even get out of our houses.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
And I ended my first year. I think I was so lucky. I did 14 deals on my first
Wow,
year.
good for you.
And I was like, oh my God, this is so great. And then I kept going and kept going. And I think we hit a point where we just get tired
Right. Yeah.
of doing the same thing every day.
Right.
That we just hustle and hustle and hustle. And you know what? It all goes back to like, why are we doing this? Why am I doing this? What's my big why? Is it just for money? Is it just for, for my own happiness or whatever?
Right.
And then, I hit the wall and it's like, hey, you know what? Like, I think I need to rethink of my business. But at the same time, it also became super challenging because I changed my ways
Right.
of how I do business.
Yeah.
And then it becomes more difficult. And this year was definitely like one of my worst year.
So what did you do to change your business, and what was it that you changed that worked or didn't work?
I think I became more complacent of what that I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm good for now.
Right.
Like, I don't have to do all of the things I was doing, or also being more, I would say, like, relaxed in some way.
Okay.
And like, I get to pick and choose my clients then.
Yeah. That's always a blessing.
Right. And then I hit the wall. I'm like, oh my God, like, it doesn't work like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I knew how to do it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, this year was definitely really hard because I'm like, it's a slow market. We don't know what's going on. There's so much uncertainty in the market.
Yeah.
And, from people's perspective, there's just a lot of, the people are just afraid.
Yeah. And from talking to you earlier, though, your mindset's completely changed where you're like super pumped for next year. So walk me through how you shifted your mindset around all that.
You know what's funny? I never really intended joining Bold. I'm like, oh, like, it's just another training. It's just something that I'm like, I think I know already. But I've heard a lot of good things about it. People said, like, it's just a great program. It's a proven program from Keller Williams that made a lot of agents very successful. At last minute, Sue actually said, hey, like, are you going to join Bold? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I think that was the best thing I've done this year so far.
Yeah.
Because it actually made me realize to focus on the things that sometimes we forget.
Right.
Right? Lead generation, just being accountable to your goals. And, having a mindset of winning again.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing I took away from Bold. And I think Bold kind of gave me the strategies and tools to make me more systematic again.
Right. So was there anything specific that was said during Bold that resonated with you? Either an exercise or something that was said or an actionable thing that you're like, I'm going to start doing that today.
Right.
Like, what's something that stands out to you?
I think for me, like, the biggest component that I love about Bold, there's three things. Number one, I love their daily affirmations.
Yeah.
Because I think it gives me kind of like, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm going to affirm myself that I'm going to do good.
Right.
And then intentionally do that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Another thing for me, number two, is accountability, because I think we all need it as realtors.
Yeah.
Especially as a solo agent, because you never have people that actually pushes you and make you, work.
Right.
Right. Like, you have to do that by yourself all on your own. I think being accountable with setting my goals, tracking our goals, and also like being in a group.
Right. So how do you hold yourself accountable? Because like that seems to be one of the hardest things, because we give ourselves actually a lot of slack.
Exactly.
Right? Where it's like, okay, I'm so ramped up, I'm gonna hit all these goals. And then morning comes around, you're like, you know what, this coffee and this movie seems way better. So like, what is it that you're doing to push past that?
I think I still continue to do what our coach said. Eddie said that, you know what, you need to write down your goals and look at it every day.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the big thing too that you mentioned earlier was having your why. Because I say to my coaching clients all the time that, they'll say, I want to make $250,000 this year. That sounds great, but what do you want to do with it? Leave it in your bank account till you die? No. You want to do something fun with it. So what is it that you're doing with that money? Right? Like, what's the big picture for that? And then it's not just about telling me what those things are. It's about taking the time to feel those things. Imagine yourself in it. And when you can do that, first off, you're already creating the law of attraction to that thing, right? You're bringing it into your life, but also you're feeling that like, oh, I just bought that new house, or I just invested in that property. I just opened that second restaurant. And like you feel elated. And then it's like, I want to feel that for real.
Yes.
So then it's like, keep pushing to make sure that becomes reality.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, for me, that's how I at least try to stay accountable, is just continuously reminding myself of my goals.
And I think, it's all about mindset, right?
Yeah.
It's how you think of, the biggest thing for me, and I've shared this to a lot of people. I think for me is, I prepare for the night before for the next day.
Right.
I literally lay my clothes and I'm like, this is what I'm going to wear tomorrow. This is what I'm going to look like tomorrow. Because I think, it comes, I don't know. I think it's just something that I do.
Yeah.
I said to myself, if I dress good, I feel good and I'll do good.
Yeah. And
Right?
it's like, have you ever read Atomic Habits?
No, I have not.
Okay. So there's part of it that talks about, if you want to make a good habit, if you want to start building a good habit, then make it easy.
Yes.
So it's like, if you want to have that habit of getting dressed every day, showing up, looking professional, make it easy. Set out your clothes for like the whole week. And I do the same thing. I actually have a thing hanging on the back of my bedroom door with all these little slots in it. So I'll pair all my outfits together and put it in there. And
exactly.
There's my gym clothes all together, my outfit for the day.
It makes life easier.
100%.
And then, when I look in the mirror in the morning, I said, oh my God, Vaughn, you look good today.
Yeah. We got this. Little high
I'm
five
like,
to
let's
yourself.
go.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then I think, it's that mindset that makes you want to win. And I think, during Bold, it was very transformative because it wasn't only about business. We didn't just think about our business, just the meaning of Bold, it's like building
A life by design.
business objective life by design.
Yeah.
I think it's just not about business. It's just about how we take care of ourselves.
100%.
Just keep ourselves sane. Like, real estate is very stressful enough. Let's make it easy.
Yeah.
It's like buying a house.
Yeah.
Like, let's make it fun.
I say the same thing all the time. And you mentioned that you don't door knock or cold call, which
not.
I've done it. I hate it. Because, like, to be honest, if somebody knocked on my door, chances are I'm in my pajamas at home. Honestly, if I'm at home, I'm in comfy clothes. So if somebody knocks on my door, I'm hiding.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be that person to somebody else. So I say to people too, like, and to myself, make it fun. Like, do what you already enjoy doing and find ways to make that work in your real estate business instead of finding ways to make real estate work in your life.
Yeah. It's about integrating, like, obviously we wear different many hats, right?
Yeah.
And trying to integrate that into, in everything we do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So what are some of your big goals for 2025?
My big goals for 2025, obviously, I want to, I want to take it slow.
Yeah.
I want to double my business for what I did this year.
Yeah.
I just want to double it. And, if I do that, I feel good.
Why are you saying take it slow but double business? I feel like that doesn't go together.
No, I feel like this year was kind of slow.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I did better.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I double what I did this year, then I'll be happier.
Right. Yeah. I know that's not what you meant originally, but it made me think of this, that slowing down makes you go faster.
Yes.
And this is something I'm having to wrap my brain around because I'm somebody who's just go, go, go. I got to have everything going at once, right? And for example, I have like a million Canva templates. All of them are unfinished. Like, okay, they all look great, but they're all half done. Instead of just slowing down, finish one.
Right.
Print it, get it done. At least then I have it. Now slow down, go to the next one. And then also slowing down where it's like, okay, I'm writing notes, but then I'm not slowing down enough to input them into my database. You know what I mean? So it's like, slow down, do things properly, have those proper conversations with people. Don't rush them off the phone. You know what I mean? Like, really give people your time and attention and energy. But then you also like enjoy it more because now you're more effective, you're more purposeful. Yeah. You're not as scattered, but you're also more successful.
And you don't have to do everything all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because the faster we go, it gets messy.
Mm-hmm. Big time. Yeah.
Right? Like, even decision making, sometimes you just have to take that moment and, hey, you know what? It's fine. Just stop, like, think about it and say the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Right. So yeah, like, that's my biggest goal. Like, it hasn't been a great year for me. I just want to double that. I just want to kind of get back to the basics.
Right.
And I think that was the biggest thing about Bold, just going back to basics, because we forget
Yeah.
the basics of real estate business.
It's so true. And especially because so many realtors are on Instagram showing all these other things. And it's like, I have to do all the things.
I have to do all things.
But it's like, we can't do everything, but we can do the right thing.
Yes.
Well, right?
Yeah.
We can't do everything well, but we can do the right thing well.
Exactly.
Right? So, back to like your first few years in business.
Right.
Now, if we're talking to people who are new and just coming into it,
Mm-hmm.
what would you advise them? What would be your major tip for somebody who's just getting started in real estate?
Just make your calls.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
tell people you're in real estate.
Yeah.
Because if you don't tell them, they won't know.
That's it.
Right? That's all I did.
Yeah.
That's all. I think that's the biggest thing for me that I've done in my business is to tell people I'm in real estate.
Yeah. But it's all your sphere people, right?
It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what they think of you. Just tell them you are in real estate.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Like most of the time they don't know anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. So, and then the other thing with that too is if you have a big repeat and referral base, then you must be treating your clients really well.
Yes.
Right. And I know like the pop buys do make a big difference, like having that face-to-face contact, right?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you're doing to continue expanding that, like asking for referrals or getting out there to meet their network? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
how do you double down on that?
another thing that I do is I always show up for any parties.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I know it sometimes sounds bad that when you show up and you just like do the rounds around the room.
I don't think that sounds bad at all. I think that's exactly what people should be doing, whether
like, I
they're
go
in
to
real estate
parties.
or not.
I go to parties and then like I'm like birthday party, I'm like no problem. Retirement party, I'm like no problem.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I grow it because I always meet people that are new,
Yeah.
like new people within their circle
Yeah.
that maybe they've heard about me,
Yeah.
but have never really talked to me.
Yeah.
And there's always an appointment after that.
And that's the thing too, is that a lot of people say like, oh, I got to work on my branding. This is my brand. You are your brand.
Yeah, you're
your brand. So
You are.
when you're out there being your brand and talking to people and building those relationships, I feel like that is just the fastest way to grow your network.
And I think it's more powerful.
Yeah.
Because they see you as you.
Yeah.
And I think we see a lot of things on social media that sometimes kind of deceiving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That it's like you're not the person I see on screen and in person.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, online tends to be like the highlight reel of our lives, and
It is.
you never really know. And like the other thing too, even for myself, I can be a big goofball, and I know sometimes it's hard to showcase it online because you always have that bit of a hesitancy. But in
100%.
person, like people are more themselves, right? So you really get that chance to connect,
Yes.
right, on a personal
And
level.
it's more important to have those conversations. I've never really enjoyed social media myself.
Right.
Like I don't know, maybe I'm scared to put myself out there. But I felt it's more helpful for me in my business to be in front of that person.
Right.
Of a person, of a family, of a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it more effective for me.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's more personal, right?
Yeah.
And so you mentioned too that your niche was immigrants coming in.
Yes.
So is that your only niche or your main niche, or do you have like a certain clientele that you go for?
That's my biggest niche.
Okay.
It is.
And then
It's my main one.
yeah. Okay.
I think it also because another thing, it's also because, we have a really big immigration population now
Yeah, big time.
and it's getting larger. And I think, I double down on that.
Yeah. So what, like, I know you have your own personal experience that you can take into that. So that itself is a huge value add for people. Is there anything else that you do special or different than most agents to help them through that process?
Yes, I do. I usually meet them where, I usually meet like especially for immigrants, first time home buyers, like when I meet them, it's really just knowing their story. I think that's the biggest thing. I think sometimes we forget real estate and everything we do in life is a lot. It's a lot of emotions we put into.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very emotional for a lot of people. And then I think, having the right conversations and being so intentional about the conversations you're having with people is important for me because, especially for my clientele, for my niche, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear, something that resonates with them.
Right.
Something that they felt like comfortable.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I could talk about it because I've had the same experience. And I think that's important because it's not just about making money. It's not just making, make people feel good about purchasing a house. I think it's just emotionally, I want them to feel supported.
Right. I feel like that's something for anybody listening. I don't know if anybody out there is thinking like, okay, well, yeah, you're going to obviously listen to clients and you're going to obviously support them. But if they actually knew how little that actually happens, like for me, I'm looking at you going like, that's amazing. And I know
Thank
that's
you.
so important because it is a big thing. It's a huge step. And somebody could be an amazing realtor and have every piece of knowledge, but if you don't give a shit about the people that you're talking to
100%.
and actually caring enough to set them up for long-term success, because you might get a deal done and great. Okay. Yeah. You got a deal done. Does that mean that you were successful, or is that person going to go turn around to try and sell that house later and be in a worse position? Or could they not afford that mortgage? Did you stretch them? Did you make sure they were protected with their clauses and conditions? Like
Yes.
There's so many other aspects that go into it. And I think that the general public, they need to know to look for that. They need to know how important it is to have an agent that genuinely cares in the short and long term.
Yes.
For your future. I can come up with a million instances. Like even one, for example, I was working with a client and they wanted to buy this house. We went to go see it. Everything was good. It was conditionally sold. And it was conditional on the sale of the buyer's property. Right? So the owners had actually already bought a house and the agent got them to buy it firm. And their house that they were selling is in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't things don't move that quickly there. So short story long, they end up getting down to the wire. They had to close on their new house. And basically they had to sell their house for way less than what it was worth because what they would have lost on getting sued would have been even more. So tell me that agent set them up for success. No.
Right. No.
That's not looking out for them. They lost money. Right? So yeah, it basically is what I'm getting at is that I appreciate agents like you that genuinely care and give us a good name. Because realtors, we all know they don't have the best names sometimes,
we always
right?
have the bad rep out there.
Right? And I get it. I do get it. I get why they feel that way, but then it's up to people like you and I who don't work that way to go and change their minds about that.
100%. It's true.
Right.
And I think, we don't have to do that for everyone, but if we can do that for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. 100%.
That's it.
Yeah. You've talked a lot about mindset, and I'm somebody who's really big on mindset. So I want to go back into that a little bit and dive. You mentioned that there was daily affirmations through Bold. And they had 32 of them, I think, or something crazy. I know for me, there was a few that stood out. Which ones really stood out to you?
The biggest thing for me, if the one that stood out the most for me, if when people show you who they are, you have to believe them.
Yes. That's one that I wrote down too. So why did that resonate with you so much?
I think through experiences, sometimes, we go through situations and instances in life that sometimes we give people so much grace, and because of what we do too.
Yeah,
we have to support people. We have to be okay with what they say because that's where we're in the business. That's as realtors we're yes, no problem.
Yeah,
but when people show you who they are, you have to believe them.
That's it. Yeah,
because it hurts you more in your business if you keep doing exactly the same thing, that you're just gonna yes ma'am and yes sir,
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah. Is there an example of anything that's happened that you can?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest, the one thing that I always remember, we had a neighbor before, they have listed their home with someone else. And they found out that I'm a realtor. So they brought me in for a listing presentation. I did my listing presentation. I've told them like what I think we should list the price, the house at. And then, this is what I think it could sell. Like I basically went through the whole thing but they wanted their price still. They wanted like $80,000 more than like it should sell for.
Right.
And I said, and then they said, well, like, won't you not take it because it's money for you? But I said, like, like I can't sell my integrity as an agent and as a person.
Good for you. Good for you. So what ended up happening with their listing?
So they ended up listing it with someone else and got way less than what I told them that they should list their house for.
Good for you, because it is hard for agents sometimes to turn down business. Sometimes they just want to grab at anything, but there's so many other factors that you have to take into consideration. Like what happens if it didn't sell and then you paid for all the photos, videos, staging, and then they're like, never mind, we're going to take it off the market. And I think in the
beginning of our real estate career, we do that.
Yeah.
We just say yes.
Yeah.
We do.
And then we end up losing money.
Because you know what? We need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, and you got to do what you got to do. Right? Especially, when you join real estate and then you quit your job and do this full time.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed money.
Yeah.
If you don't hustle, if you don't say yes, like nothing's going to happen.
I always find it funny though, because like I was like that. I think all of us were like that at one point where it's like, oh my God, we got an opportunity. Like jump on it. But you get burned once or twice, and then you're like, never again.
You do.
Yeah. So I remember taking a few listings that I was just like, I don't know if this is ever going to sell. I'm putting in all this money to market it. I don't even know what's going to happen with it. So these days now that I've learned my lesson, it's more like, well, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to?
Yes.
If I'm saying yes to this opportunity that's going to take up so much of my time and create stress, and they're not trusting me as their realtor, like what is the rest of this process going to look like?
There's always a trade-off.
Exactly. And it's like, how much other business could I get in that time? And also let's take into consideration the fact that this might not even sell. And then it's like all for nothing. Like if you were absolutely, okay, well, as soon as we sign this contract, you're getting a paycheck. Great.
Yeah.
But that's not how our business works.
No, it doesn't.
Right? We're like pretty much unemployed until that house sells.
Yeah.
Right?
If it even closes.
If it even closes. Oh my gosh, that's like a whole other thing.
It's a whole other thing. Like honestly, it's been the last, a year or two?
Yeah.
That it's a little scary out there. Even if you've sold a house, you don't know if it's going to close.
Oh, I just heard this like crazy story from another agent the other day. Actually, he was telling me that I think it was last year or the year before, he had 3 closings, 3, all in 1 month, and 4 closings, 4 all in 1 month, 3 of which he never got paid on. And I was like, how did you not get paid? And I'm like, did it not close? What happened was, and I had never heard of this up until then, and it's something that we should all know, especially going into next year, is that, say, for example, that seller bought at the height of the market as interest rates were going up. They were on variable rate. So as the variable rate goes up, more of your payment goes towards the interest and not the principal, right? So if you're not paying as much towards your principal, then you're not keeping up with your amortization time. So when you go to sell it, you pretty much have to pay a lump sum, right?
Yes.
So what was happening with these people is they were selling these houses and they owed more to the bank than what the house was worth. So what happens is there's actually like a tyranny, is that the word? Like a tier of, okay, first it's the mortgage people that are paid
first, yeah.
And then the lawyers and then us. And in some of those situations, not even the lawyers got paid because there wasn't enough money.
100%. It happens.
I had no idea. And like this guy was like, some realtors go their entire career never even experiencing that. He experienced 3 in 1 month.
We're in the bottom of the list.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, holy crap, was that ever an eye opener? Because now it's like, okay, as realtors, we can go on Geo Warehouse, pay $15, get the mortgage report, see like if there's any liens on it, see how much is owing. Because even if we bring the buyer, we still may not get paid.
We may not get paid. It's true.
So it's like that. If any realtor takes a golden nugget for 2025, it's that. Like, my God, when he told me that, I was like, my brain just.
Yeah, I think, and it all goes back to that. I said, like, you know, when people show you who they are, you have to believe them.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. That's why I think, you know, having the right conversations with clients or potential clients is super important. Like taking it slow.
Exactly. Really getting deep on like their situation, where they are now, where they need to be, and how you're going to help them get there.
Especially in this, you know, in this economic, you know, weather we're going through.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, speaking of which, what are you forecasting for 2025?
I really think, you know, since we got a really good news the other day, I feel like it's gonna get busy out there in the spring.
Yeah. That 0.5 drop was shocking.
It's huge.
Yeah. Especially 2 in a row. So yeah, I definitely think spring's going to be nuts. Now's the time for realtors to start lubing their pipeline.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Get it set.
Yeah. And then I think, you know, through Bold, that's how I also kind of got reconnected with people that kind of just fell off.
Yeah.
My radar. Because I'm like, you know what? Like maybe I'll reach out to them. Like, you know, share them the news.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a perfect excuse to do it, right?
Perfect excuse to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people that may be like, I don't know if I want to sell. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe spring market will be a little bit crazy. You never know.
Yeah.
But again, it always surprises us.
I've been that poor victim that's been riding that variable rate for the last few years.
Me too.
Painful.
It's painful.
Very painful.
But we tell our clients, you know what? It's gonna get better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a moment in time.
It's getting better already. So that's good. Like
it's a moment in time that we go through this. And I think having, again, the conversations that like when you bought your house in 2022 or 2021, I know it's a little bit higher, but you were paying almost nothing.
Yeah.
Because of the interest rates.
Yeah.
But if you actually factor in all the other years followed 23 and 24, if you average it out, we're at 3.25, 4.59. It's the same.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's funny too, because like
they just gave you a holiday.
They give you a holiday.
They gave you like a holiday of like you're gonna pay this much, and then like now you're paying this.
Yeah, that's so true. I still wish I locked in at that low rate though. Oh my God.
Some people did.
They're the lucky ones. I honestly, it was bad mortgage advice. I had 3 people looking at my situation, and I'm like, you guys are all people who would know better than me, so I'm trusting you.
Right.
And then even after I took the variable rate, I remember reaching out to my mortgage agent saying like, should I be locking in? What should I be doing? And I still have all the text messages, and he either brushed me off, didn't answer, or gave me wrong advice. So it's one of those situations where it's like, it's so shitty that it happened, but I learned so much from it. And one of which is being like, that you need to have trustworthy, good, not just mortgage agents, but anyone in your network team. Yeah. Like a lawyer.
That works. That works for you.
Because it's like, if my experience was that bad, imagine if my client had experience like that. Now they're going to be cursing his name and mine.
Yes, 100%. And
Right?
I think another thing too that we should, I think, you know, talk about is really just educating your clients.
Big time. I think that's actually the only kind of realtor that's going to be successful next year is the ones that take the time to educate people.
Yeah, you have to educate people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's why we were talking about it. We as realtors get so much bad rep because we like fast talking. A lot of people like fast talking and just be like, boom, 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 done.
Yeah.
Got the deal done.
Yeah.
But if you try and educate people, you know, when they start asking questions, as a realtor too, though, it kind of challenges you as a professional.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why you have to do your homework.
Yeah.
You have to do your research.
Yeah.
You have to fact check everything you're saying, because once you've shared that information to clients, especially people that doesn't know much,
Yeah.
then they believe you.
Yeah.
But what if it was bad information or it wasn't as accurate information.
You know what? A lot of my coaching clients will say to me, like, what should I be doing on a day-to-day basis? Number one is reaching out to people and having those conversations. Number two is building your knowledge.
Yes.
Like, because the more knowledge you have, the less scripting you have to worry 100%.
about.
Because you just know your shit.
You just know your stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I said shit. And you're like, you know your stuff. You're so pleasant. You know your shit.
No, you do know your stuff.
Yeah.
If you know your stuff, like you're not scared to say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It just brings that different level of confidence. And then the times that something comes up that you don't know, who cares?
But also, I think
I'll find
the
out.
other benefit too of that is, if you educate your clients well, if they know everything, like even through listing or buying, if you educate them really well, it kind of also saves you time in the future. Because if once you educate them, they don't need to call you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, not only that,
they don't need to like, hey, Jordan, like, how am I going to turn on my AC?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like little things like that.
Totally. And it makes the future conversations easier too.
It is.
Like if, say, for example, you set their expectations up from the get-go about the price, when you're listing, it's like, okay, well, that my opinion is $20,000 less. So, if we don't get an offer in the first 21 days, we already agree ahead of time that we're going to reduce.
Yes.
Set the expectation.
Set the expectations.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, I heard the perfect analogy before for this is that when it comes to price reductions, it's like cutting off a dog's tail. You feel so bad doing it. So like you cut it off just a little bit. And then, okay, now next week you have to cut off a little bit more and you feel so bad. So you're just doing it little by little. But instead of just doing one big chop, it would be way less painful.
It is.
So it's like, instead of doing little drop, just start off at the right price.
Yeah.
Right. And like, it just comes down to educating people.
And I think that's important right now in this market, right? Like if you don't have a listing that's priced well, it won't sell.
Yeah. Exactly. So what is your selling strategy right now in this market?
So for me, my selling strategy, I work with a lot of buyers for me.
Okay.
Right now I am. I've got a listing up and have one coming up again.
Okay.
I like for listings for me, I think it's really knowing what's going on in the market and maybe what future would bring. Maybe we have to wait.
Yeah.
Maybe we have to wait. Like even for buyers, like maybe we have to wait until January or February next year, where you could still get the best deal because you want to move in. If it gets busier, in the spring, then you basically just bought before it got busy, and like you're all set.
Yeah, for sure. And people,
it goes back to education,
and I'm sure they really are wowed. I know. People in my experience have been wowed when I tell them don't list yet.
Don't list.
Wait. Yeah. And they're like, really? Like, as realtors, they expect us to be like, put it on the market.
Put it on the market, yes.
And no, like if that's not genuinely what's going to be the best thing for you, then don't do it.
Don't do it.
Call me in 2 months
Every
when
time.
it is time.
I'm like, you know what? You don't have to sell now.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's wait. Let's just wait it out.
Yep, for sure. And there's even people too, like first-time buyers that I've worked with, where, I've been in the business now 6 years. So the repeat clients are starting to come, right? And the referrals. So there's some of them that are like, hey, I'm thinking about selling this first house or this condo. And it's like, there's times where I'm like, are you sure? Because you might be able to hold on to it and rent it out and build your equity or build your income and still buy your other house. There's ways of doing it. Just got to be creative.
And why are they doing it? Why do you want to move? Is it just for you to move?
Yeah.
Or is it like financially, stressful for you right now? Like what's the big why you want to do this?
Yeah.
Because I think that's how we determine if we can help them or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. If your why is just to move in a bigger house, if it's not financially feasible for you, then let's not sell it.
Yeah. If it's going to put you in a worse situation later.
Yeah. Hang on to it. Maybe there's other ways. Maybe like what you said, maybe we'll rent it out. We'll take some money out. We'll buy you the next home.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. People don't even know what their options are sometimes. Like I have a client that just giving her a call, following up. I help them buy. And then one thing led to another in our chat. She mentioned like, oh, we want to redo our backyard, but we don't have the money right now, blah, blah, blah. Told her about a home equity line of credit. couple weeks later, she sent me a picture of their brand new renovated backyard. She's like, this all started because of you.
Best thing ever.
Yeah. And it's like, did I get business out of that call? No. But did she appreciate it? And is she referring me? Hell yeah, she is.
Because you tell her everything. You're like, you know what? Like, I'm an open book. This is how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about adding value to people, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's that if we don't have value added conversations with people, they won't even talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a thing too, is a lot of agents are like, well, how much should I follow up? When should I follow up? I'm like, it's never too much if you're doing it with value. If you're constantly calling them like, are you ready to buy? Are you ready to sell? Do you want to list yet? That's too much. But when you're calling saying, hey, a house sold in your neighborhood, just thought you might be interested. Here's the information.
Yeah.
They're like, sick. Cool. Wow, that sold for a lot more than I thought.